there's all these kinds of combinations that seem to be effective when you look at the statistics. And it seems like there's, maybe it's a scientific way of thinking, but it seems like there is some conclusion to be drawn there.
Oh yeah, I believe you need to the high percentage move. There's a reason why it works. I think it's made for a bigger amount of people. For example, I one of my main strength, athletic strength, is I'm an explosive person. So I'll use technique that are explosive. If I got a single leg, my one of my thing I like to do is to go for the double, power double. But for someone else who got, for example, in a single leg position, maybe he likes like body throw better. He's more a Greco guy, like or he's a judo guy. He's gonna go for something else. So, but there is moves that are, I would say, like you just mentioned, are universal. Like statistically speaking, they're the highest percentage move that works for pretty much everybody. Everybody pretty much can do an adaka Jimmy. It's very easy. But it's not everybody that can lock a triangle with their legs. So those move like a rear naked choke, adaka Jimmy is the highest percentage move because it's maybe more accessible. It's accessible for a bigger range of
based
people.
on the physical characteristics of the people. Do you draw any wisdom from these high percentages, John, for like in terms of what to focus on?
Yeah, absolutely. Jiu-jitsu has an ocean of moves, and you can get lost on that ocean. You can drift for a long period of time and end up with very little to show for it. Yeah. So my whole thing is focus. We only live one lifetime, and your training lifetime is even shorter than your actual lifetime. So in that time,
unless you die on the mat,
that's true.
The same.
I put a very high value on choosing what I believe to be the most high percentage moves and putting an extraordinary amount of focus on them. The only problem is that in one generation, a move which can be considered low percentage might actually turn out to be high percentage in another generation. For example, we talked earlier about leg locks. When I was first started jiu-jitsu, they were considered the ultimate low percentage move. And a big part of my career has been convincing people that, in fact, that was incorrect, that they can be a high percentage move if we just change our approach to them. So we can't just follow tradition and say, oh, this is low percentage or this is high percentage. It has to be part of a fairly systematic study where you investigate what are the reasons why it's high percentage or low percentage. With regards to takedowns, if you look at what we can consider the most high percentage takedowns, if you're in front of someone, the single most high percentage way of taking them down is to get a hold of both of their legs and push them backwards. Okay, if you get a hold of one of their legs and put a force on them, they can use their other leg to defend themselves and hop around and funk their way out of takedowns and cause all kinds of problems for you. I don't care how athletic your opponent is. If you get a hold, a firm grip of both of his legs and start pushing him backwards, he's going to fall down to his butt. Now, he might be able to recover from there, but he will fall down. Even easier than that is to be behind someone. Takedowns from in front of someone are difficult. You go right into their hips, their head, their hands, you go into all their defensive weapons. If you're already behind someone and you're doing what in America they would refer to as a mat return, this is significantly easier than taking someone down from the front. If you have control of their head in a front headlock position, you've already closed distance on your opponent. You already have close contact. You don't have to worry about shooting anymore. There's no sprawl out of that. You don't have to worry about guillotines, kimuras, or the standard defenses. Those will intrinsically be easier takedowns out of front headlock. And so if we're going to talk about high percentage technique, I always go back to the mechanics of it rather than just historical tradition, because historical tradition can be wrong. It was wrong about leg locks. It can be wrong about other things too. So my primary thing is, okay, talk to me about mechanics. That's what ultimately is going to determine whether something is high percentage or not. Gordon pointed out earlier that when you're behind someone, you have innate physical advantages over the other guy. The human body is set up entirely to defend threats from the front. We are poorly adapted to defending threats from the rear. We don't have eyes in the back of our head. We can't apply pushing strength backwards. If you get behind someone, takedowns are 10 times easier from behind someone than they are when you're in front of someone. If you have to take someone down from the front, get a hold of both of their legs. If you can get a hold of both of their legs and impart a pushing force, you will almost always knock them down. If you can get a hold of their head and work takedowns from there, again, it's much easier because most of their defensive apparatus has been taken away from them before the takedown even begins. And so for me, the most high percentage takedowns will always be from the front, double legs. From any takedown from the back is going to be significantly easier than any takedown from the front. So all manner of mat return takedowns are going to be very high percentage. And takedowns done out of situations where the opponent is broken down in front of you and you have either front headlock or front chest wrap position are going to be significantly easier than takedowns from the open.
Of course, you have to consider the full spectrum of mechanics involved here. It's possible that an outside low single leading to a double leg is much higher percentage. It's like there's a lot of chain wrestling yet, that needs to be considered as a possibility.